It's that time of the week again as we are back for another episode of Batwoman Season 2. This time we're here talking about Episode 5, and this episode is titled Gore on Canvas. And this was a good episode. I really liked this episode. Last week's episode, if you saw my review, you know I wasn't really into it that much. I feel like it was just really slow, and it was kind of like confusing with parts of it. Like, I had to watch it I watched it a second time, and then things started to make a lot more sense for me. But this episode was really good, I think, because there were really only two main storylines going on in this episode, and both were really interesting and they were cool, and both really helped to deepen the mystery and develop the story that is like the season-long story here. So I really like this episode. But anyways, guys, quick spoiler warning if you haven't seen this episode yet, because we are breaking this thing down in depth. Although, if you've made it this far in the video so far, then you've probably already seen it. So, anyway, let's go ahead and jump into this episode. So, we start off pretty much where we left off last episode with Ryan and Angelique. So, pretty much their relationship is started up again. They are, I don't know if I'd say they're like a full-on couple again, but they're kind of in that part where it's like they're basically in a relationship, but they don't say they're in a relationship. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting just from this first scene here with the two of them. But they're there in Angelique's apartment, and they said that they had a reconnecting last night, so you know what that means. But Angelique got Ryan a gift to kind of apologize for the stuff that she put her through, and it's kind of like a friendship bracelet, or you know, that type of thing there. But during this scene, Angelique notices Ryan's kryptonite wound, which is something interesting because that was something that was set up in the first episode, and we keep getting teases of that kryptonite wound throughout these episodes, but it's like it never really goes anywhere, and I'm still confused, like what is this gonna have to do with the main storyline? But anyway, it's not looking too good. Definitely looks really painful. So she finally goes to Mary to get it checked out, and finally has her take a look at it, and she's like, oh, you know, it's not good, but it's also not that bad either. So really not a huge update on that. We do get another scene at the end of the episode, which I'll talk about then, but you know, really not too much on this whole kryptonite thing here. But this is what actually leads into the main storyline of the episode, where we see, first of all, that Jacob he finds out that the Jack Napier painting, which has some huge tie to Kate Kane and to Sophia and Coriana, he finds out that this painting is currently in the possession of the Collective, which is like basically this group of painting collectors and like fancy people, basically. So that is when Jacob and Sophie go to interrogate Evan Blake, who is a former friend of Kate. They used to be like best friends, and they believe that he is a member of the Collective. And basically they find out that he is a Collective. But this is when we also get a bit of a really interesting update on this Jack Napier painting, because we know that obviously from the Batman 89 movie, that was the name that the Joker went by before he was the Joker. He was Jack Napier. So we all assume this was Joker, and they basically confirm that here, that yeah, Jack Napier, aka the Joker. But they explain why he made this painting and what this painting is, because turns out Jack Napier wasn't actually just an artist or anything. This was when he was the Joker, and the painting is literally, it's not even paint, it's literally the blood and guts of one of his victims. So, you know, somehow that turned into a masterpiece. I mean, definitely abstract art there. But that was definitely an interesting development on this painting, because we were all wondering, like, what is so special about this painting? Like, sure, Jack Napier drew it or like painted it or whatever, but it's literally human. The painting is made out of a human, so that's kind of messed up. But then we do get a conversation between Sophie and Batwoman, and Batwoman, or Ryan, just does not want to help the Crows because she does not have a good experience with the Crows. And this is where we get a nice little scene, a kind of like heart-to-heart scene between Ryan and Luke, where she tells her about that night with Angelique, where one night Ryan took Angelique's drug stash to try and straighten her out and make her, stop doing that stuff. But then some crows thought they were hers, and then they arrest her, and that's how all that stuff happened. But Luke doesn't want to help them either, but they really need them. And this is then we get a team up between Batwoman and the crows, and they interrogate this member of or this person from Coryana, we assume is one of the henchmen of Sophia. But when he basically reveals that the painting and Coryana are connected, he uses a cyanide capsule and, commits suicide. So that's the end of him. He didn't last too long. I mean, he had a cool spear fight scene at the beginning, but other than that, he's gone. So basically, they need to get this painting and find out what is up with this painting and how it connects to Sophia. So Ryan goes undercover with the collective, and Evan automatically is suspicious of her. But somehow Angelique is there and kind of swoops in and saves the day and basically gets her into this collective party here. And when Ryan finds the painting, they get all of the data and stuff that they need on it. But then that's when they discover what the painting actually is. It's actually a map of Coryana, and that's how it relates to Coryana. That's how it's connected. And that's kind of interesting, because then that means that the Joker knew about Coryana and basically made this painting on purpose to hide the map of Coryana. So that's interesting to think about. And also, is the Joker alive? Because we assume that he was dead after that scene in last season, but I don't know. But this is where things get crazy here, because while Ryan goes to suit up as Batwoman to steal the painting so that they can analyze it further, the wolf spider comes in and steals the painting before Batwoman is able to get out there. And wolf spider is a weird name, and the suit didn't really look too comfortable, a little too tight. But it was a cool kind of villain of the week character here. So Batwoman starts chasing the wolf spider, and while chasing him, she gets injured. So it's up to the crows to go take him down. And then the crows say that, he just jumped in front of them. But really, I'm pretty sure they just hit him with the car. But they do not, pick him up or help him or anything. He's just lying there on the ground. He literally just got hit by the car. He's bleeding so much. And then they just take the painting back to the Crows HQ. So then they look like the heroes, we secured the painting. But really, they hit him with his car. So that's kind of bad. But they did eventually get fired and everything. But then when Batwoman does show up, she unmasks him. And the wolf spider is Evan. Kind of super predictable. I don't really know who else it could have been. It wasn't really that big of a mystery. But Evan is the wolf spider. But like I said, he's bleeding real bad. There's so much blood coming out of his head right there. So she takes him back to Mary's clinic. And he is fine. He's going to be all right. Going to need a bunch of stitches and everything. We do get a nice scene between Mary and Evan. But really, nothing big going on there. But this is also where we find out actually that the painting that Evan was trying to steal and that is now in the possession of the crows was actually decoy. So it was a fake the whole time. So it's oh great, well that was pointless the whole time. But then we do get that little scene at the end with Ryan as kind of a cliffhanger for her character, where she checks on her wound, again her kryptonite wound, and it's bigger and it's nasty. That thing is nasty. You see the green veins and everything, and ooh, that is disgusting. But yeah, so I mean, it didn't really give us any more updates on that. Literally the first episode ended with a cliffhanger of her checking her wound and it was looking bad, and now 5 episodes in, that's still as far as we are with that thing. So I wish we would have gotten more of an update on her wound. But again, I mean, at least they brought it up this episode. But now let's talk about Alice in this episode, because she is still trying to get back her sister. So she is doing everything that Sophia tells her. So she is still looking for Ocean, and she keeps getting more of these flashbacks about this Ocean guy. And then when she goes to this bar, she actually finds Ocean, but he doesn't remember her at all, and she kind of does, but at the same time doesn't really. She sees flashbacks of him, but never really remembers her connection to him. But then all of a sudden she wakes up in his hotel room tied up, and then this is where he reveals himself like, yeah, I was with Sophia, she was my sister, not really like blood sister or anything. But then Ocean tries to kill her, and then when he touches her, he starts to get flashbacks as well. So they have some sort of connection here. And whenever they touch each other, they get flashbacks. And it's really interesting. So this is when they decide, all right, maybe we should team up to try and go back to Sophia, figure out what's going on here, get your sister back and all that stuff. But then some real bad people show up, so Alice and Ocean team up to take them down and, well, actually kill them because they're both murderous psychopaths. And then we get a kind of like finale scene, the final scene of the episode, where Alice and Ocean, they are trying to get away, they are driving away, and Alice gets another flashback, and it's a flashback of her and Ocean kissing. So just as I theorized last week, these two have had a romantic history together, which is really interesting. And I mean, if they're both murderers, then, you know, I guess they're perfect for each other. It's love at first sight, all that good stuff. But that's not the big thing here. The big cliffhanger of the episode with this scene is that Ocean is like, oh, you see that white tube in the back? Go grab that. She grabs it, she pulls it out, and then he says, you've ever heard of a guy named Napier? Or like Jack Napier? So the painting we saw in the rest of the episode, we found out was the decoy of that painting, but this whole time Ocean had the real copy. So now Ocean and Alice are on their way back to Sophia with the real painting, and this is definitely not a good thing, but it seems like we're definitely going to be getting more answers about this in the next episode. Like, if this painting really is a map of Coriana, like, that's cool and everything, but really, how is that going to help to find Kate? Because it's not like there's going to be, like, a big X on the map that says Kate Kane, and, like, ooh, X marks the spot. Like, I don't really understand how the map would have really helped out with Batwoman and the Crows with getting that map. So I don't really understand that, but I'm definitely intrigued, and I'm interested to see where this goes in next week's episode. So again, guys, I really like this episode. This was a good episode. Both storylines were really strong. I like the stuff with Wolf Spider, finding more about this Jack Napier painting, and then really just this relationship of Alice and Ocean. I feel like they make a good team. So I'm excited to see more of all of this explored in the rest of Batwoman Season 2. But guys, of course, let me know down in the comments below, what did you think about this episode? What were your favorite parts? And what are your theories for next week's episode? So, thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and hit the subscribe button so I can keep you up to date on everything that goes on in the DC life.